Before we dive into today's episode, we want to remind you that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and guests and for educational and entertaining purposes. The Professional Homegirl Podcast is here to celebrate the diverse voices, stories, and experiences of women of color, providing a platform for authentic and empowering conversations. There will be some 𝐾𝐿, some tears, but most importantly, a reminder that tough times don't last, but professional homegirls do. Enjoy the show. In today's episode, we'll be taking a closer look at the history and origins of some of the most popular spiritual concepts of our time, from starseeds, crystal indigos, and light workers. From the New Age movement of the 20th century to ancient spiritual traditions and belief systems, these concepts have emerged from a variety of sources and continue to inspire and captivate people around the world. Today, we welcome our guest who will share her personal journey and experiences as a healer. Her insights into the art and practice of healing have touched the lives of many, and we are excited to have her on the show to share her knowledge and wisdom. So to my guest, how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm doing fine. I'm great. It's different because like we have the new moon in Aries and we have the solar eclipse. So it's like balancing both of those energies out as that energy coming in. But other than that, I'm doing fine.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the Professional Homegirl Podcast. I am super excited to have you on the show. A lot of my listeners, especially my OG PhDs, love talking about spirituality. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Now, can you please explain what starseed, crystal indigos, and light workers are?
All right. So with starseeds are from the star system. So what's really cool is that you can have many past lives. So people always tend to be like, man, like deja vu. What is deja vu? Like, I feel like I've been here before. Mm-hmm. And what it is that in many other lives, you could have been something else. So for example, for me, I'm a Palladian, Arcturian, Syrian, and Venusian starseed because I've had multiple lives already. And when you get to that point in your spiritual journey where you start to remember them, that's how you know. It's like, I know I'm not coming back. This is my last life because I'm doing what I was supposed to do, what was leading me up to it. So when you talk about starseeds, these are your the star connections to you, or your star ancestors, or your star lineage, just like you have angelic ancestors. Like, it's different things, and you wonder why you have so many different gifts. So when it comes to starseeds, those gifts are way different than your clairvoyant, your claircognizant, your clairaudient. Because with those, when we think about star extraterrestrial, we're thinking future forward, right? So when, for example, see me like move somebody across the floor or lift them up, they're like, oh my God, how you do that? And I'm just like, dude, you gotta understand who you are so you can know where you're going. Then the indigo children, you have the first indigos, you have the crystal indigos, rainbow indigos, you have the golden children, and you have the diamond children. You'll know by each essence, and that's what people come to the shop. I can tell in your hands like what part you belong with, and I can tell by the vibration that hits my heart. So with the indigo children, this is where a lot of people went wrong when they were getting their kids diagnosed and stuff, because they were putting them on Ritalin and ADHD medicines, and they were just very sensitive. You understand? And so with the first wave, so when you think about it, you have the first wave indigos. Who were those? 1960s, late 1950s to the 1970s. If you notice with the indigos, the world shifts.
Right.
So when you indigos, like the first wave indigos, those were our 1950s and 60s. That was like, you know what? You just smoke our pot. We're gonna do this.
Right.
Rave on. Like, you have that. And then you have the crystal indigos. Now you always get some that come a little bit earlier to lay the vibration. And then we come in. So we come in and we're like, okay, we're going to get it done, but we're going to play it by the rules. So you see the difference, how each one shifted. Then let's go to the 90s and the 2000s. Here go them rainbow babies. And them the ones, them Live at 5. So it's
Right.
like, but like, I'm not going to school. I'm not taking that debt.
Yeah, I
Like
feel like
that's
they're very like vocal.
right. It was just like, I can't believe you just said that, right? Then you got your golden children that start coming in. Now, what's cool about the golden children, of course, we always have some that sprinkle in a little bit earlier. And
Mm-hmm.
so with the golden children, you'll notice with them, they don't come in carrying karma. They don't have to fix what the ancestors didn't make up.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming in with pure light, the golden and diamond children. So if you were to put your hands over a diamond or golden child's hands, it will be an energy that shoots up in your heart so strong, that's light, that it'll bring tears to your eyes. That's how pure. So each wave have their own job pretty much.
And then what about the light workers?
Now with light workers, they're here to bring the light. Now with light workers, you don't necessarily have to have a spiritual gift. With light workers, that's your mission. You're way sure, you show people the way, you light the world up. The same thing with there's a gift called the awakener. Now, what's the difference between a light worker and an awakener? Awakener, they awaken the next person to their spiritual gifts. So when we talk about like Reiki, for example, that's not a spiritual gift. Anybody can learn Reiki. It's gifts that you add to it that make it different.
All right, y'all. She about to flex on us. And I'm assuming that for the most part, all of these are all related to each other.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes. Oh, and we talk about witches. Like, it's no different. Like, we don't segregate. So it was funny because like when we grow up and we think about Wizard of Oz, we think of Galinda and then the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right.
But also, it's just like you have light workers, star seed healers, and shamans and all of that. You got witches as well. You have your light, your gray, your dark. What are the gray witches? They balance karma. What are the light? They work with light. What are the dark? We know what the dark does. So the thing, when you think about it, in every life, we've been more than one thing. You have to look at your root to understand what's in your lineage. But yeah, that's what I want to say.
It's kind of like you're metamorphing in a sense, right? Like, since you say that you constantly change it, so in one lifetime you may have been you may have been a Crystal Indigo. Another lifetime you may have been, let's say, a witch. The following, like, I guess, if you finish your mission, you can move on to something. Right.
So this is the thing. When you don't finish your mission, you come back and you start where you left off.
Right.
So say, for example, right. In my case, I didn't, because I was killed for my hands in every life. I didn't know nothing about these hands. So who would have known that I would be doing more work with my hands than, because when I started, I was on YouTube doing tarot and astrology. Like, okay,
yeah, I saw that.
This wasn't even in motion yet. And this was found by accident. And I had to ask my family, like, what's going on? But in every life, whether I was in Atlantis, right? So people think that Atlantis wasn't real, but it was. And we would bring the people to the water to be healed by the dolphins. So that's where the sound healing comes from. And in another life, I was killed for my hands. I was very, what do you call it? Like, how people would come to the person and they would do the healing and stuff like that. In every life, they would try to take me out from my hands.
How did you find this out about yourself?
It's called an Akashic Records.
Okay.
So
I know what Akashic Records is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how I wanted to see, because I was going to ask you. You had somebody to access your library, and they told you about your past and current lives.
Not only that, but you start to see glimpses of it when you're going through your journey. So I saw the before he told me, I saw the Atlantis part, and I saw me also being blue and in a spaceship. So I knew that was the Arcturians. So you'll start to get memories, like you'll start to remember,
like downloads.
Right. And you'll start like with, I was a high priestess, a goddess Isis. So they showed me like, in the tomb, looking at, like, it was like we walked through the tomb, and then in this room right here, it was nothing but gold. And it was just shining like on this little leverage table thing. And I looked like that, and it was like, it's like it comes back to you. You start to remember your past lives. You may think it's a dream, but it's not.
Right. It's a memory that's coming back to you.
There you go.
So what are some common misconceptions that you would like to clear up about the different spiritual concepts?
I don't. Which one do I want to clear up? Because I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm not trying to clear anything up at this point.
Right. Or what are some ones that you normally hear?
Like, oh, the what? Well, when they say like, when they see you like working with your hands or doing Reiki and they're not educated and they call it witchcraft. That's one that I really hate. I don't like it. And I think it's ignorant. What's another one? When they see you doing any type of healing work, they are immediately call it like black magic or dark magic. What's another one? And I don't like when they try to make spirituality like East Coast versus West Coast. Like we say we're one. So for example, I had a lady come into my shop. I wasn't there. And she was like, I'm a chaotic witch. And they tried to give me a tour and do this and that. All right, you can be a chaotic witch all you want to, but at the end of the day, this is what I do. My purpose is to teach. So my advisors are trained to teach. If you feel uncomfortable, then there's the door. You can't come, or they try to push their beliefs onto you.
Yeah, how you come in somebody else's household acting like that?
That's exactly how, you know me. I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like I don't have time because at the end of the day, the other great misconception is because you're a healer, because you're a light worker, you don't have those hands. Like just because we're on our mission and purpose, you're not about to just treat us any type of way or talk to us any crazy. We were somebody before this life.
You gonna fight somebody?
Oh yeah, I'll pop you up real quick. Like I'm a healer, but I don't have time. I'm 5'5" and 100 pounds. Like no, I'm a sweetheart. I really am. But I've learned, like, and I haven't done that. I haven't. But what I'm learning.
That's what she's telling us, y'all.
Yeah, I swear, like everything I love, I haven't. But I learned, like they really think because like you're on the spiritual path that
people will try you.
And I just be looking like. And then the minute you give them a reaction, it's like, oh my God, you're so aggressive. Like, what did you think? Right. So that's like respect us as we respect you. Like, again, if you're coming in here to get support or you're trying to find out information, you wouldn't be here if you had the answer. Right. So don't come here and then beat me down when I'm giving you information that you're not comfortable with. I mean, at the end of the day, take it or leave it. Because you know this all in one. I didn't keep us separated. Right. Because one. Yeah.
I will agree with you that I do feel like a lot of people try to demonize spirituality, especially when it's spirituality that they don't understand or they don't know much about.
You're right. And sadly, sometimes it can come from your own family members that don't understand. Like, I'm really good at manifesting. So again, like you go back to your past life, I'm a matrix master. So I know how to manifest. I know how to manifest and help people get things that they need and want. And I had like an auntie that was like, she over there, what she called? She told her sister, she's like, she's over there doing that witchcraft. And my auntie lost it because that was the auntie that helped me understand like where all our gifts and stuff come from Granny from the South. Right. And she said, not doing that. She said she has a gift. And she said, she's a healer. I've seen what she be doing. And she kept trying to convince her sister that it was witchcraft. And she wouldn't listen to her.
You think she was mad because do she got gifts?
She claims she could see, but the only thing she sees is how to scam people. That's how I can.
You know what? That was gonna be my next question I had on my list. What are your thoughts on people using spirituality to scam?
I think it's sickening because I have 5 fake accounts that's actually pretending to be me right now, and I had to actually do free readings with some people because they really needed the information and the help. And I actually have proof like, okay, y'all gonna take these accounts down and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to other people pretending to be something they're not and just hopping on the bandwagon, honestly, it takes a lot to be able to step out the spiritual closet is what I call it. And then put yourself in a vulnerable position for people to actually accept you for who you are. And it wasn't like my family, like my nana and them, they knew it was something. I've seen extraterrestrials. I've seen it all. So they knew it was with me growing up. But I lived with my mom till I was like 16 and I moved away from her. So they got to see me from 16 till up.
Right.
And she used to always say like, baby, you got a sixth sense. And she was Catholic. And she was like, I don't know what to do with that. So
Yeah, I saw in one of your videos you mentioned that your family is really religious.
yeah, my
Why are
nana
you
and them,
smiling?
because now it's not, it never was a judgment.
Right.
It didn't, I love them unconditionally because it never has been like, remember you got your mama's side, your daddy's side, so it's like that. So with my nana, like it's everything for her because it's like she never judges me, and she know, like she always knew something, but she just couldn't put her finger on it. And
Mm.
then because now, like I used to be so, like I'll be quiet around certain family members and be more vocal around others. And I remember my godmama was like, "You don't dim for nobody. You got something you want to say, you say it." I'm like, huh? Or when she was like, "Well, I know why you need the other room because the energy and stuff." And it made me smile because I'm like, "Oh, they looking it up. Like they learning what I'm doing."
Right.
When I had the green light from them, I didn't care what nobody had to say. So
Right.
now on me like, "Can you fly here? Okay, I got something. I need you to do something." I'm like, "All right, I'll be home." They're
Right.
my supporters. Yeah.
But do you also feel like people should hold themselves accountable for allowing themselves to get scammed? Because I feel like if I'm looking for you and I'm going for you for a service, I'm going to do my due diligence. And I know common sense is not common, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do my due diligence and make sure that I am signing up to you. Like I'm going to do a fact check. I just don't understand how people in today's world is still getting scammed.
Because they're not. Okay, so in our world, we take the time out to look up things and to investigate, right? In this new world, honestly, you literally have to explain it step by step by step. They don't pay attention like they used to. And then with the
Right.
scam, like even though you and I, it's common sense. Like look at the name. You see two I's and two L's. Like look at the followers. Like
Look at the
so if
post.
yeah, like
Like, come on.
mean, I've been chasing them scammers down, and then they have and then the email when they send them an email where they can send a cash app, it be saying like Tamika Jackson, like weird.
Wow.
Like I'm looking at the email, like the FBI is on you right now. Like
But you
I'm
don't
waiting.
even need, I think at that point, the people don't need spirituality. You need common sense.
Yeah, yeah. It was a headache. It was such a headache. It's still like three more fake ones, but I'm trying to get them down as fast as I can.
Wow. So would you
Yeah.
say that anyone can develop the qualities of a star seed, crystal indigo, or light worker, or are they only present in certain individuals?
No, so Starseed is a different lane. With Starseed, everyone is not a Starseed. The
Mm-hmm.
same V, like my advisor, V will tell you straight out he's not a Starseed, he's a Druid, and that's what you want to call him.
And what is
Um,
that?
so so Druids, they're like shamans, but
Mm,
Druids are more earth magic and nature, and they work with a lot of the elements. So like
mm,
for example, fairies, right? So people have the argument of are they real or are they not?
mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. So it was funny because my little niece went to her therapist and she told the therapist, she said, I saw the fairies in my room and the fairies were talking to me. Her mom called me and said, "Hey, your niece was in therapy and she told them, the lady, da da da." And I said, "Yeah, that's cool because we saw them too." I'm like, "It's in our family." And the phone went silent for about 5 minutes. And I was like, "Hello?" I was like, "Yes, they are real." The thing is like when you start to get older and you go through life,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff shuts down. Remember, you see this stuff when you're so pure and you're so innocent. All
Right.
right, you for a bit, you're gonna be upside down. Like, how am I
That's a
gonna show you
fact.
all these gifts and you over here trying to fight to stay alive? Like, it's not. I've noticed every time I've went through something horrendous or crazy in my life, in which we have my gifts, I don't remember doing anything with my gifts or seeing extraterrestrials or spirits or anything like that when I was going through it. So
I
I
mean, how
thank
could you?
God
You're
for that.
trying to survive.
Exactly. So at least they're lenient upon that part, because the thing is, it's not only the spirits and stuff like that, but your ancestors are up there like, okay, listen, I chose you. Like, you taking too long. Get to doing what you got to do, because you are your ancestors' wildest dream. So what
Mm.
they do is, if they're still alive, they'll say, okay, we didn't finish this. Now, which one of them is going to finish where we left off? I'm the only one out of all her grandkids, great grandkids, who's doing this herbs. And mind you, I don't cook. So my mama was like, "How you do that?" And because I was burned when I was little. So even growing up, me and the stove, we just same page. So they were shocked when they saw me making the oils and doing stuff like that. And they was like, "How you know?" I'm like, it just came to me. But granny always been until I saw it with my own. When you learn how to watch your third eye and look.
Right.
And she just was like, "Hey, baby, like." And when I grab those herbs, and that's the part of hoodoo that comes in, I get all them herbs, that voice, click, click. I'm going. Yeah, it's your ancestors. It's your
That's so interesting that you said that you was burned, but you use your hands to. Yeah, like it's just the correlation of it. So tell us more about your upbringing and some of the things that you did notice that you was that was different. Because I read or I saw somewhere in one of your videos that you mentioned that you saw like extraterrestrial beings. You can feel things, like you just always knew that something was different about yourself.
Yeah, I used to think our house was haunted.
Yes.
Yeah, because actually when I got burned, they took me from my mom. So
how did you get burned?
She fell asleep the first time. She fell asleep with a cigarette in the bed, and they was like, "Okay, mistake." Then when I was 2, she was boiling hot dogs on those little heater pots, and I just threw it on myself. And so you can't light off. You'll be able to see like the little splotches, but it was on my hands and my whole face. So they took her for like 5 years. So I went back to her at the age of 6, and I left home at 16. So technically, I only was with my mother for 10 years. Because I really didn't know. I didn't even know who she was. I thought my auntie was my mom because she was light-skinned and my mama was dark-skinned.
Right.
So it was time to come back. They didn't do. When you do that to a child, you should slowly do weekend visits and then do that. Don't just snatch a kid out of one spot and throw them back into another, because
that's traumatizing.
Oh yeah, it was traumatizing. I was like, "What is this?" I'm like, ramen noodles. I'm like, "Oh no." I was spoiled. I was like, I had skates. Like I go wherever I want. I'm like, what?
And I think a lot of parents, they don't think nothing of it because they just want their child to be back at home with them, but they don't know the effects that it can have on a child. Because if you're used to living a certain way and you've been living a certain way for so long, and then you got to go back to the hood and eat some damn ramen noodles, like
I was like, what in the conglomerate? I was like, oh no. I was like, please. And it was traumatizing because I remember holding on to the back of the white car. That's all I remember. And I was like, "Mommy, where you going? Mommy, where you going?" And my mama kept saying, "I'm your mama," and kept grabbing me. Man, my heart was just ripped in half. And I had to sit there and pretend that I didn't like my other mom like that much. So when she would come to visit me, I'd be like, I guess I could go to her house.
Wow.
Man, I got in that car. I was like, we out.
Right.
And I love that lady so much. You know what I mean? I thought she was my mama, but she's my auntie. So I didn't know.
Oh, but yeah. Wow. But is it true, not to cut you off, but is it true that, because I read somewhere that a lot of people, and I have a psychic, and I believe she told me this as well, that a lot of people are not able to tap into their gifts until something traumatic happens?
No, not all the time. Because
or I guess it's enhanced more, or like it comes out more.
Right. It's maybe be enhanced more because like nothing I guess I don't know, because I drowned too. So I don't remember.
When did you drown?
Oh, that was when I was with Auntie 𝐸𝐿𝐺𝐵𝐺. But it was my fault because I could get out the donut and walk over to my cousin who I thought was my sister. I thought I can go in there her donut, but I got out and walked under and went under. So they had to pull me up. All I remember is seeing the feet, and then I woke up walking out. That's all I remember.
Wow. And I kept hearing,
she almost drowned, but I was just blah, 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 blah. It was crazy.
So you had like two near-death experiences, or maybe 3.
Yeah. Maybe like 4 or 5, but that's when I got older. Because in Chicago, yeah, you get robbed at gunpoint. It's a lot. Yeah. I don't know. With that house, I knew it was something because that's when they started. So how you know that it started being like this? You'd be like, while you little, like heavy breathing and stuff like that.
Like somebody's in the room with you.
Right. And I'd be in there like, I'm like, I know somebody in here, like, man. And then I used to, the sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sleep paralysis, by the way.
It's
I
called the
used to
devil
get
riding
that.
your back.
Yeah, or they call it a hag.
Yeah,
Yep, like, yeah, those two terms.
that's
But
what we
I
call it in the
started getting
South.
those at 5 or 6, like at age 5 or 6. So I knew something was weird. And I was like, what is this? And so when I noticed we would move to different apartments, it followed me. And so at one point I said, no, 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 no. I said, it ain't these houses. I said, it's something on me. I'm like, I gotta figure it out. And mind you, we were all separated at that time. I was living with Nana and one speaking to my mama. So in any questions I ever had to ask her, I don't know, girl. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, she never knew because she stayed away. You know how when they grew up in the 60s, they just wanted to be out the way. They ain't want to look.
Right.
Like, I stay out the way, I ain't gonna get beat down. Like, that's
right.
how
I ain't trying to be seen or heard. I'm just trying to go about my business.
Yep. And so I don't know, when I really started to know something was off is when I saw the extraterrestrials come through my TV in the den room. And I will never forget that. And I didn't eat for 3 weeks. I literally was around. I was so scared. Because the thing was, you'll know when something's happening is going to happen to you spiritual, because you'll start getting what they call the devil's ride or the hag. You'll feel like someone's trying to throw you into a deep sleep. And I remember that was happening. I was like, no, like that. And I ran downstairs, and BB was laying on the couch. And she'll tell you, BB was laying on the couch.
Crystal was laying. BB? We don't know BB.
That's my sister.
That's your sister?
So she's my cousin, but they raised me, so that's my sister.
Okay.
So she laying on the couch. Crystal, my cousin, she laying at the feet. So I hurry up, I'll get those quilts that your grandmama make with the squares in them. Mm-hmm. I'll get it. All of us like, we all little. I'm like, oh man. So I get behind BB. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there breathing. You hear me like chest, and they all of them knew. Anytime they see me run out my room and go in somebody's bed, they knew something was happening spiritually. Mm-hmm. So sitting there, and I throw the cover over BB head, and I'm like, I see my TV, like the TV's in the den room. So I'm looking at the TV and I'm watching. All of a sudden, it turns completely like a circle, and it was white. And 3 little extraterrestrials hopped out one by one. When you talk about somebody, I couldn't even breathe. I was like, ooh, like, and then what they do is they stiff your body, because again, they don't want to be hurt either. They know you're there. They don't want to be hurt either. So you get like stiff, so you don't pass out or whatever. And literally, he walked dead up to my face like this, because they thought the covers, but I can see. Mm-hmm. And he sniffed like that. And then went towards Crystal's face, because by now I didn't pull the cover all the way up, so it's right here at the bottom of her neck. And when I see him lean in on her, I'm like, ooh, like that, like trying to, because I'm stuck. And he looked and run back over and I'm like, oh my God.
How old were you?
I was, man, I think I just turned 18.
Wow.
I would never. And my nana was like, are you okay? I was like shaking white. Man, I was like, it came to the TV. Like, I was like out of there. It always happened. Or when our star ancestors tried to bring us back to our star placement, and I feel like it's like giving us some information or communicating with us, literally had me floating in my room like this and move my ceiling, and I went right through the stars. And I was like, oh, growing up in the hood that we're in, I'm like, I ain't ready to die, because that's what I thought was happening. Right. And then whatever it was, it turned me towards my bed. Literally, I'm looking at my bed. Nothing's there, because I was, laying like this watching TV. And I said, oh, okay. It rose me up some more, and I just got to seeing all those beautiful stars. I'm like, put me there. And like the elevator, my booty hit the floor, and I took off right to Nana. Like, I'm like, you ain't hear me? She's like, what, no. Dear? I'm like, oh.
I believe in spirituality, and I believe in your story, but I'm pretty sure you meet people who be like, what? Like, how does it feel to sometimes be met with judgment or like doubt, or like people always, what's the word? I guess just doubt. Like, people always like, is she for real? Because do you sometimes feel like you can truly be yourself?
Oh yeah. And I don't have any shame when it comes to it either. So when I'm in the streets, like I'm an introvert and an extrovert. So when I'm in the street, wow, they're so like amazed because I'm so like, all right, let's go to Fifth Ave. Like I'm really like girly. Like I'm not about to be. I had a mentor tell me when he first met me. He said, you know, you got to dress apart. And I said, what you mean dress apart? He was like, you know, you got to wear the robes. You got to look like this, that. And I said, well, how am I doing my job if I'm being something I'm not? I said, I want to be able to heal somebody in some Gucci like slides or flats just as much as I sketches. Like, I said, this is what we're evolving into. I said, this is the new spirituality. No one's going to feel comfortable coming to me looking like a hermit. Right. And I'm like, to you, like, no, like this is spirituality. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? And he was like, you're right. And I was happy to stood up for myself. So I don't care about like judgment. Like this is the first time in my life where I'm like all our lives, you know what I mean? Like when we're growing up, we hear people like, oh, you poor, you're this, you don't trust me.
Oh, you should be like this, you should be like that.
Man, now I look at them and be like, you it's like I smile because I'm not like every time, and this is the best way to be. Anytime you think you want to say something back to somebody that's hurt your feelings or something, you just be like, look at them and just be like, yeah, God, you're so beautiful. Like, and that really will switch your mindset. Like instead of being dark. And I would say when we're in the shop and they always be like, yeah, so we saw your TikTok or whatever, you know. And I just be looking at them, and when I slap them across my floor, then you know their opinion changes.
Child, we're gonna get into that. But the next question I want to ask you is because I'm really big on learning more about where I come from. So tell us when you found out who you were, and you found that out through your aunt, and she told you stories about your nana.
Yeah, so basically I was like, I remember like it was yesterday because I was going through my spiritual awakening and I was so afraid. Like, imagine being in New York, you don't got nobody, then you're going through all these different changes. Not only that, but I started to feel everyone emotions. So like, I worked in Times Square at the time.
Oh, child, that's a lot.
Yeah, I remember going to work, and all of a sudden, that one day, it was like everything was like boom, and I literally was like crouched over on the street. It was like, like I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that's when I started wearing crystals. I haven't stopped wearing crystals since 2014. So I asked, I said, you know, Auntie, I said, was grandma magical or something? And she said, why you say that?
What made you ask, what made you say your grandma?
Because I knew it had to be her because it was just like, I felt this energy where anytime I had a reading or something like that, they'd be like, your grandmother's around you. I never got to meet her because she died before I was born. And so I asked her because I remember at work, I touched somebody's heart. And no, he lost his keys. And you know, when you work in flagship, when you lose your keys, that sets you fired because there's so much money coming through a flagship.
Right.
And I looked at him and I like kind of glared over. And I touched his heart and I looked at him and I said, go find your keys. Like within seconds, he walked me. Mind you, he was looking the whole day, stressing out. He was a DMV and district for visuals. And he came back swinging his keys. And the girl who was in the room looked over at me and was like, what did you do, weirdo? And I don't know, like I couldn't say anything because I didn't know she was watching the whole thing. And he goes, don't you dare speak to her like that. And he walked out and slammed the door. And I was like, that's the first thing I was like, oh my God. So my hands. And the second time an incident happened like that, where I touched the boy his heart, he never spoke to me again. And that was at work, mind you, because there was something wrong with him. And I just was like, and so that's what made me call my auntie.
Well, he was scared or like?
He just never, the feeling that you get from that, it's so much unconditional love that if it's a male, come on now, they ain't trying to feel like that.
Right.
So yeah, that's what made me ask my auntie. I said, Auntie, because she grew up with great grandma and she grew up with grandma. So she knew the tea.
So she can be able to speak, right?
Right, because mama was always acting like she had amnesia, you know, her twin sister. But again, they just want to stay out the way. I get it now. But she's the one that told me. She was like, all right, let me tell you a story. And she was like, we was in the hospital and your auntie Ruby was pregnant and them doctors couldn't get her to shut up for nothing in the world. And she was like, all I know is I saw mama go over there with her hands and make her face some type of way. And she was like, Ruby ain't sing a note after that. And I was like, what? And she said, I knew something was up. She said, because me and mama, when we walk at the hospital, she gonna say, you tell anybody I'm gonna cut your tongue out. And she said, Mama, I don't even know what you're talking about. She said, keep it that way. Because she thought she knew what she was doing.
Right.
But she just put two and two together, because she said great grandma was the same way. She said she went into the cabinets and was like, Granny, what's all these sticks and dirt up in here? It's herbs. And Granny was like, get your butt out of my cabinet. And she said, one time Auntie Sophie got caught. They used to wonder where Auntie Sophie would be going in the field. So Paw Ben went out there looking for her, and she was getting charmed by a snake. My grandfather is a 33-degree Mason. And so he had a lot of like land, which trickled down to us. Yeah. So when he went out and he found Auntie Sophie, Sophie was sitting right in front of a snake, stuck, and a snake was doing like this in front of her face.
What?
She was going out to go see the snake every time she snuck out the house.
Now break that down for people that might not understand the correlation between our world and in that world. What was the snake doing?
It was charming her.
But so why?
The snake was, because snakes have spirit, and also remember, Grandpa Ben was very wealthy, so it was a people that would try to do like black magic and do stuff on him. You get what I'm saying? On his family line. So our blood name is actually Frazier. But you know how mama get married and
right.
And so
and she could have died.
She could have, but he had her froze. Like the snake, they literally was like the snake was just going, and she just was in front of it staring just like this. And he ran up and grabbed a hoe and he chopped it up. And then he said, as soon as they chopped up the snake,
she woke up.
She wouldn't stop screaming. They had to carry her in the house. They carried her in the house. Then Grandma Essie made St. John's wort, made anesthesia out of St. John's wort, and she had her sleep for 2 days. And they used to always crack jokes and be like, Sophie ain't been right ever since Papa chopped up that snake. Yep.
Is that true?
Yep. They always crack jokes. And that's how I knew. When you have indigenous in your family, because remember, great grandma Essie is full blood Cherokee Indian. Grandpa being black, he got grandma, he got grandma's hand in marriage by giving her daddy an ox and a blanket. So she, over 20 something kids. Some in birth, but she had 20 kids. My grandma had 10. So, and I started doing the research. I said, okay, let me see. And all of her kids were magical. Even Auntie Carrie, she lived to 99, and she just passed away in 2021. But even her kids wrote about her magical abilities in her obituary. I'm like, yes. And of course, Auntie Bernie was like, here, I'm sending you something so you can see, it's more, it's in a family. You just not by yourself. I'm like, cool. So that's where it started from. Like, honestly, originated from great grandma right there in Helena, Arkansas. And people too, like all of them, they all got to 16 and 17 and ran away from home. They didn't want to work the fields. They felt the house was too magical and creepy. They all had the gift of sight. So they would see weird stuff like people falling out the ceiling, or they would see little fairies. That
can be a lot for some people.
Yeah, they never wanted to go back. They never wanted to go back to that house because it was so spiritual. And it was funny because grandma had said she didn't like taking pictures. And she said the reason why she didn't like taking pictures was because the person's spirit is left in the photo.
Right.
So, right.
Child, you about to have people scared of taking pictures, child.
But it's true, because I looked over, what happened last week? I looked over at my brother and I was doing a Reiki session. So I opened up the Reiki healing space on his birthday. His birthday is February 3rd. And the other day,
he's an Aquarius.
Yeah, my little tutu. Yeah. So I was doing a session. And I happened to look at his photo and I looks, and I start to see the face shift like that. And I was like, and I looked again, and then it did it again. I'm like, oh man. I was like, all right, let me hurry up and shake this off. So when them wise women and men be talking, you need to be listening. Yeah.
I feel like Black women have a long and rich tradition of healing practices and traditions that have been passed down through generations, with many known Black healers throughout history, including figures like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and so many more. So, do you feel like Black women receive the credit that they deserve when it comes to healing?
No. And I feel like a lot of people trying to benefit and take too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not.
You feel like it's trendy now?
That's the thing. It's too trendy. So again, like when we get these gifts and we're given like our certain soul mission or purpose, it's not for us to be like, what we do, God, source divine, makes a way, our ancestors, for us to live abundantly. So the same thing with me, for example, right? I was so afraid to open my crystal shop. But that idea didn't come until I started on my awakening. And I actually was going to leave my 6-figure paying job and work at a regular crystal store just because I felt more at home. All those crystal shops told me no. Every last one of them. Oh, you're not ready yet. I was a year in my journey. I said, all right, cool. Mind you, this is 2021. I said, okay. And some, like, I started like being my YouTube channel 2020. All right. So that's when I went public. So I said, all right, cool. But they wanted me to come in, use my hands, and then after testing me out, maybe, I said, oh, okay, cool. So I went home then. I said, God, I said, if this is what you want me to do, then why you not letting me do it? So I said, okay, here we go. So he gave me the message. I said, all right. So then I started doing more of my YouTube. That got big, that got crazy. Then clients came from my YouTube to my Etsy shop, then to my website. So meanwhile, my roommate is going crazy, like, oh my God. Like I said, listen, if you want to run this, I got to work at the pharmacy. I'm like, I'll handle it. So I was handling everything. So and Jose's like, he has stake in the company. Like, that's my boy. That's my soul brother. But he was on it. The design, everything. All right, you got enough.
You need people like that in your corner.
Man, what? And I was just like, wow. And fast forward a year and a half later, I walk into those same 3 crystal shops, taking my students on a field trip so they can see the difference in each crystal shop. And every owner was like, you, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what happened? I'm like, and I'm very humble. So I'm not like, oh, remember when? I wasn't like that. I was just like, I'm just bringing back to the places, where I started, and they can learn different, like I took them to the witch store, everything. Like, it was beautiful.
So about when it comes to your awakening, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during that process, and how did you overcome it?
Realizing that everything I was taught was a lie. I was like, and I was like, what is going on? It was more about, it doesn't matter what religion you practice or where you're from or what color you are or what God you practice. It's the same God in every religion. I mean, it's the same God, just different names.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Same God, just different names. And when I got that aha moment, I was like, okay, whatever. What's the other one? The other part was the breaking down. If I felt like I've been in boot camp, military boot camp, I felt like I was back in boot camp times 2. So it was the shedding and the healing work in the mind. Like you have to go back to when you were a fairy or when you were that kid that would jump off the couch with the towel around your back. Because if you're trying to look at this the new way that you're being in that light, you'll
ain't gonna work.
No, it's not gonna work. And the awakening, it really breaks you down to build you back up the right way.
Right.
There's gonna be a lot of being on your knees and crying because I didn't. And see, this is the key. You have to tell spirit to give it to you in a way that you understand, because they'll think you're resistant. So the more they think you're resistant, the harder your awakening process is.
So you have to surrender.
Right. That's what I did. I was on my knees. I mean, I was on the floor, snot, everything. It ain't gonna do it. I said, it's, you know how when you cry, you have that little,
right.
I said, I ain't saying I ain't gonna do it. I just don't know what you asking me. Like tears, everything. And I was beat up because I was like, I can't go run into my roommate's room. They're gonna think I'm crazy. I'm like, I gotta battle this. Like, And then when I said that, it was like, ding. There's like, oh, so she's not resisting. She just don't know what we're asking. Oh, okay, let me make it easy.
Right.
It was smooth as butter after that.
No, yo, no lie. I had that same situation because I was just like, just trying to figure things out, make things happen, whatever. And I feel like I was just meeting so much resistance. And I had a moment in my room and I was just crying. Like I was just begging God. I'm like, yo, you got it. Like, what do you want me to do? Because I am hanging on by the thinnest thread here. Like, we gonna meet. I give up. You won. And I swear to God, ever since that night, things have been so up for me. Like it has been so amazing. I'm like, come on, God. I'm so happy we on the same page now.
Yeah, it is. And it's a beautiful feeling. And I tell everybody, once you are in your life purpose, there's no closing doors.
Oh, it's over.
Purpose open. It's like a yellow brick road straight through. I said, that's how you purpose. Yep.
And I can only imagine this process has also changed your perspective on life and just the world around you.
It definitely has. And every day it's like I appreciate stuff more because it's like when I think about it, I be like, God, like I'm like little old me, like out of all my family members or even, for my ancestors, like you pick my little butt, like this one, the one that they was like, oh, you gonna be this and you gonna be that, when you look out in the streets. I'm like, and first kid, graduate college, go to the military, do all this, and I'm like, now what you gotta say? But it amazes me. It amazes me because it's like, man, I'll be happy for my ancestors. You didn't have to go through what you went through, but I'm gonna take care of it the rest of the way.
Right.
And that's it makes me sad because it's like I look at my family members, the ones that's my age and like under, and I'll be like, man, y'all be seeing me down here like working and busting my tail off, and ain't none of y'all gonna come down here. Y'all all got grandma's blood. Like, ain't none of y'all gonna come help out of the shop on the weekends.
Well, child, just because y'all family don't mean nothing sometimes.
Yeah, it don't. No, it's like that, the mentality though. So some of them are actually like, because grandma was good at a lot. So we have a lot that do hairdressing, do party planning. So I see everybody with their gifts in their own way from. But it's just like, this is like we building like an empire. So, now I got to think about now I got to have a kid because this ain't going to work. Like, I ain't work this hard just for it to be left behind.
Right.
Yeah, that's
so speaking of gifts, what are your gifts as a healer?
Man, every day it's like a new one. My sight is crazy. What else? So my sight, the hearing, I have all the clairs. As you know, I can heal with my hands. What's the other one? Psychokinesis. So that's the one where you see me like moving people around the floor all up and down.
Child, I was on her TikTok page, y'all, and I was like, nah, I gotta go to this lady's shop because she's standing in front of someone else, and next thing you know, you just see the person lifted up on their tiptoes, or you see them moving forward, and I'm just like, nah, I gotta go to your shop.
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel?
Man, all right. So I went to bed one night and I was like, God, I said, show me what else I can do with my hands. Cause I knew the Reiki, like that part. So I said, just show me what else I'm supposed to do with my hands. And, what happened? I went to bed and that night I saw myself walking in this hall and two men approached me. So one came from this direction and I threw my hand up like that and he hit the wall. And then the other one tried to come at me from this way and I put it up like that and he hit the wall. After he hit the wall, I opened my hand like that and I was up. Like I just woke up like this with my hands in front of my face. And I was like, all right, whatever. Right. So that night class, and I went to class and I remembered the vision and I was like, come here real quick. Let me see something. So I put the girl up on the wall in front of the door. And I was like, just stand there. Hold on. And so I've always put the light around me to protect myself. And I was like, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just remember just put your hand out. So I was like, like that. And she was like that. And the class was like, oh my God. They was like, do it again. I was like, oh my God. And you could see me because my chest, like I was like shaking because I couldn't believe like what they showed me the night before and what that was. Yeah.
Right. Does that take a lot out of you?
It's something weird, and I know it's like my star ancestor energy, but the moment I start to work, I just automatically regenerate. So say like clients, there was one day we did like 10 Reiki clients back to back. My body just automatically generates. Yeah. No, my other like hoodoo, that's from my indigenous side, like my grandmother. So like the herbs, we have a great relationship. So I'm great with fixed candles, making like green mojo bags, even working with the ailments. So if you're sick, I'll give you a little concoction, you'll be all right. Or with herbs, it's good magically and holistically. So there's just sum it all up. And then what's my other gifts? I don't know. It's a lot of them. When you're a high priestess, or an oracle, as they call us, you have all of the gifts. So mediumship. So that one was really tough because doing that one, it's like you talk to somebody and all of a sudden you just see all their people just popping up in your eyeballs. And it's hard sometimes. People think that people that passed away, like they're happy in the golden gates. No, some of them don't be happy. They be fussing like, why you put me in a home? They be going off. Like some of them be really
oh
like,
yeah, you know, some spirits, they be with it. They be trying to
yeah,
get their shit off.
yeah, she definitely was like, you put me in that home. And I'm like, well, you know, she just died. She's like, yeah, she had dementia. I'm like, yeah, she wasn't happy about that.
Right.
And that was the one that was scaring me a lot because it was seeing all them different faces. And then if you don't communicate what they're saying, they'll follow you home. You'll be at home cooking and they'll pop back up like, why you didn't say what I said? Like you'll be like, oh my God. So it's crazy.
And that's when I'm gonna tap out. Wait, so what do you want to be? What do you call yourself? Because when I do research on you and I'm speaking to you, I think of you as a healer, but you said oracle and you said something else. Like what do you call yourself? Or you said priestess.
If you would ask what I am spiritually, you can call me a high priestess or an oracle. Because we have all of the gifts. So any gifts you think of, we can do. So the newest gift that I uncovered was I'm able to lift your astral body from your 3D body. So I can lay you straight out and I can pull your body like separated. And you literally, you know how people be like, they astral project and then they remember like the experience, but they really don't remember like, you know, how they did it.
Right. They just remember that feeling and stuff.
Right. I do it with you being conscious. So
now when I'm conscious, I need to be laid out.
Yeah, I do it when you're. It's beautiful because like we always talk about healing the 3D body, but we never talk about healing our soul. Right. So what I do, separate it. And when I separate it, I do the 3D body first, then I go higher. And like say like one of my clients, her knee was really bad. I literally fixed her knee in the astral and I brought her back down and she was hopping around here like, what are you going on? She was good. Like, but that's the thing, like, you're gonna get more gifts and more gifts. Like when you have both of those M's like in the middle of your palms like that, that's because you're supposed to have a purpose. You have a purpose. You need to be doing what you're supposed to do. And everybody's not gonna do the crystal shop or yoga. You can do what you're doing right now and raising the vibration of the planet, how you're doing and making everyone aware. Right. So it just depends on what your calling is. And that secret is in your North Node and South Node.
Child, not me looking at my palms like, do I see an M?
You can let me see. I can see.
You know what's so funny? I do see an M.
And where's the other one?
I don't know about this hand.
See, you're right. So that's the thing. It's in your left, but not your right. So this is the thing. Once you decide how you're going to move, the other line will come to your other side. You have a decision. You can, or you don't have to. It's up to you.
I thought I already made my decision.
Yeah, you can make it, but are you doing your purpose fully?
I am now.
It may be something else added to that.
True. Because I do feel like purpose do evolve.
Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be this that equals more, bigger.
Right.
Yeah. So when you do that, that line will come.
But y'all heard what she said. She see the M though. We almost there. Because people would say it's Photoshop, but it ain't.
No, it's
So,
there. You're definitely a healer. Definitely.
okay, I'm anointed. Okay, so what inspired you to pursue a path of spiritual service and healing? What made you want to start teaching and sharing what you know and helping others? And this is also your business.
Yeah, I didn't think that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what I went through in my awakening, and I had people like really try to scam me. Like it was one girl, I was like, "Can you teach me how to align my chakras?" She was like, "Yeah, for $60." And I was like, "Damn, just to align my chakras." I was
Listen,
like,
scamming somebody like you, she bold.
I didn't, but at the time, think about it. It's 2018 that's going through her spiritual awakening, not 2021 and 2022.
Right.
So she was like $60. I'm like, man, I'm roommating. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, let me go to my dentist appointment. I put that YouTube channel on. I was like, all right, here we go.
Right.
And I got it. And I was like, I DM'd her back, like, never mind, click. And I was like, never again. So when I started to see people scamming, it was one that made me sad too, because it was a lady who was like, I went to go get a reading or a session. Remember, we're on our journey, so we just trying to get all the information we could.
Right.
Yeah, you got something on you. You got something on you. And I'm like, well, I'm from the south side of Chicago. We don't be on that. I'm like, what you talking about? And
right.
She yeah, somebody that puts a curse on your family. I'm like, well, how are we going to get it off? Like, this is how they make you scared, right? So I went to a botanica, of course. And
everybody listen to this part, because this is how they be getting y'all in y'all DMs. They be saying y'all be having something on your back.
Yeah, hex, curse. And I said, well, how much is it to clean out? And she was like, oh, I can get it on for 3,000. I said 3,000.
3,000.
I'm like, who you think sitting in front of you, Beyonce? I'm like,
right.
I'm like, absolutely not. She's like, okay, give me what you got. And that's when I was like, man, I was like, no, I am not. And
that's scary.
So it was that. And so when I went through everything I went through in my spiritual awakening, I did everything wrong. I did like a multi-dimension session first instead of like Reiki. I did everything backwards. So I did like a multi-dimension session first. I did Reiki second, and then I did Akashic Records last. I should have done Reiki first, then Akashic Records, then the star, like understanding like my star family and stuff like that. So when I started to see where I went wrong, I was like, I don't want nobody else going through this. So I learned when it came to like the hoodoo herbs and stuff. Man, I got them herbs together myself. So you need a spiritual bath? Okay, come here. They was like, oh no, because I said, you can get this one for $22, or you can get that one for $44. I'm not doing no spiritual baths for no $3,000.
That's low vibrations. We not doing it over here.
Right, and they scam and they ask even 17-year-olds to do that, and I'm just like, how dare you? Like, where's your mark? But that's what made me really learn and get into my granny's roots with the hoodoo. And once I took herbs, it was just like bow.
Right.
Like, it works because it's just in my blood. So hoodoo is not for everybody to practice. It has to be, your ashe. So if you look at your genealogy or your 23andMe and you see Cameroon, Mali, Nigeria, and all that in there, oh yeah, past life, you was in there rolling with them roots. So that's very important. So that's what made me start to teach, because I was like, I never want anybody ever to go through what I went through. Because I was spending a lot of money and didn't have to.
Right. People were taking advantage of you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you're new and you're like bright-eyed, bushy tail. I seen the light. Like you ready to like, yeah, that's how you are. Like you walk around, you naming yourself, like don't even know there's more to you. Like we in Crystal shop, she's like, what are you? I'm a light worker. Like I'm a light worker. I'm like, what are you? And she's like, I'm a witch. I was like, like that's how you learn. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, that's how I was.
What kind of issues or challenges have you helped people overcome through your work?
Man, perseverance. I can say the one thing that I am honored and grateful about is that anybody that comes into my life, they leave 20 times better than when they came. And it's like every time they come, or when God sends somebody to me, I don't even be like, oh, nice to meet you. I'll be like, all right, what's wrong with this one? Like that's how I be in my head, like, all right, God, what I gotta do. And someone asked me, like, do you ever get sad that people don't stay? And I said, why? I was like, it wasn't meant for them to stay. It was meant for them to get what they needed and for them to go on and
keep it moving.
yeah. So I'm more happy about seeing the evolvement. Like my advisor, V, like he came, like I was in the shop by myself and V didn't know nothing about spirituality at all. And I remember him coming every day and he was like, let me know if you need some help in here, whatever. You know how we be on guard, like, I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a packed house, and he would just came to me, like, hey, how are you? I'm like, you go over there.
Right.
His dog up to the hammock and was in there just skipping along, like he didn't know what oil was for what. You know, he's one of the ones that actually has been with me for almost 2 years when we have our anniversary in September. So it's like get those where God, you pray. And God, like, I keep sending them to you, but you keep sending them off. And it was just that one day where I was like, come here, go.
Yeah,
so, I'm happy for the people that have come because I know, and too, and this is something for you too, like, you also will understand that your presence and that you are valuable too, that you can't just let anybody come up into your life because you know the gift that you have. And some people will come in and just take a piece of your light and just bounce.
Yeah.
You'll know, use your gift of discernment. So
that's a fact. That's for the listeners too. Use your gift of discernment because that's a powerful tool to have.
Yeah. So people will see me and they'll see me riding by myself. If it's not me in the car taking him home, me and my little Yorkie Chihuahua just chilling.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you work with people who may be unsure about the effectiveness of your work?
I don't force anyone. So a lady came in and she was like, listen, and I'm not being ratchet. I'm just giving you the play of how it went down.
No, girl, we support ratchet. We support classy. Yeah, Professional Homegirl come in many shapes, sizes, and forms, child.
Okay. Yeah, but she came in and was like, clack. I was like, I looked and I was just like, okay, how are you? First of all, I couldn't even get how you doing out. She was like, first of all, I need a mediumship reading. I mean, fingers and all. And I was like, all right. I'm like, okay. And she was like, I'm not giving you no pictures. I'm not telling you no names. I'm not doing this, that, and the other. So in my head, I'm like, well, actually, it wouldn't be no reason for you to get a mediumship reading if you got to give me all that. So I'm not saying that. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. So she sat at my table. I bring my white light in, bow.
Right. I know you did that white light OD.
Yeah. I looked at dead in the eyes and was like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, boom, boom. Tears, boom. V, hand me some tissue. Here you go. Oh my God. I just said, I'm not going to be like, you have to believe in what I do. Like, I'm never like that. You can make your own decisions. When you're ready for me, you'll come. God will send you. You'll never see me outside unless we're just, on an event. You won't see me outside like, come on to the shop. Like, my God, what you need? Like, those that are meant to come, they'll come. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I watch your videos of your healing sessions, and it is amazing to see how you're able to help people release pain and other issues. When you're doing this, where does the pain or energy go? Because how do you not? Because I know you also an empath, like you have all of the senses, you have all of the gifts. So like, how do you keep that balance between you not absorbing that or it's not, what I'm saying, like affecting you?
I take it and I transmute it to light. So they always ask, remember earlier when I told you like we did 10 Reiki sessions? That's impossible to do. So what I do is when you see me like hold their hand and you see them lean forward like that, I take their pain, I turn it into light, and I send it back. So that's why they're overwhelmed with all those tears and stuff like that, because it's like, even if you've been in a bad, say, if you had a bad relationship with your boo, and this is the love of your life, and just like that, I'm done, I don't want to be with you. And then your heart all cracked up. That's a pain. That's like if you hear that Mooney Long song, that pain, that's that pain.
Right.
And to see, like, to be able to take that away from people, like, you can't heal a heartbreak overnight. Oh, come see me, I'll take it out. Or like when they have really physical ailments, if I don't ground myself strong enough, you'll see you're holding my back. Well, I'm like, they have to tell you where they've had surgeries and things like that. Because if they don't and you go into working, you're going to get it right away. Yeah. So when I wasn't knowledgeable, my pharmacy tech, she had 5 back surgeries and was always taking all them pills.
Oh,
and
child.
one time I walked behind the counter. I'm like, hey guys, boom. I'm like, oh, I'm like, Mary. She was like, girl, I'm sorry. I know. I had a problem with my back last night. Excuse me. I took some pills, and she looked at everybody, feeling my pain. And so I just peeled myself up off the floor and just looked at her and rolled my eyes and just went back to my office. So it's like, for us, we always have to make sure we shield, especially around hospitals and people that are homeless and stuff like that, because it bothers us. Yeah.
Okay, we got 2 more questions, then we are almost done.
Okay.
I'm just curious, what do you think about people who uses magic for not so good purposes?
I think you're gonna grow 3 tails in a little bit. Like, I don't like, because it happened to me. And people
what happened to you?
Well, when you go to bed normal and wake up paralyzed, like half of your body, because somebody's jealous or envious, that does happen. And people always think, oh, if you don't believe in black magic, it's not real. Yes, it is. So just get it out your head right now. So stop thinking your best friend or your friend at work won't do something to you, because they'll do it to you. So at the end of the day, I recommend that everybody keep basil tied on the back of their door or their house when you first walk in, because your house will be so protected. I also recommend that you keep obsidian, amethyst, prehnite as a crystal on you for healing, protection, grounding. And when people do black magic, it does come back. So say, for example, if someone comes to me, I've had it. Siblings, as a matter of fact. My sister trying to take the house out mama, dad. I need you to do something. Do what? Okay, well, I'm going to make sure y'all both get everything fair and square, and that's what I can do. I don't do that type of work here. You got to go somewhere else. That's the type of integrity you're supposed to have.
Right.
But when people get greedy and big dollars are involved, that's when this black magic comes in, or they're jealous. And you'll normally see it with couples or with pretty girls. Then now all of a sudden they have fallen out and they got scabs and look. And the same thing happened to my soul sister, and she said, somebody did something to me and my mama, and I knew it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. What
did they do to her?
So basically, when you do black magic, you can do one or 2 things. You can either destroy their life to where their money starts running low and they lose out on opportunities and they become real tired. It depends on what you want to do. The sky is the limit when it comes to them.
Right.
And why it's important, you have to have you got to study. Like me, they always call me a nerd. I mean, every time, nope. And because of and the lady did that. She put a root on my soul sister's mama, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because when I touch you, I it's like a movie. I be looking like, I'm like, and who? Okay, I got it. And I gave her a candle because I make fixed candles, and it's called Return. It's called Unbreakable. And when I said, hey, you tell her to light this candle, and she write down her petition. And all I told her to write was whatever happened to her, return to sender. And it went to the lady, and she added, let something happen to this person's car. Not only did something happen to the person's car, but now she's in a mental hospital. Because you don't do that to people. Like, if you need to watch what you're playing with. And I work with light. So yeah.
What you do in the dark will come to light.
Yeah, and it's sad. Like, I literally was paralyzed and was walking around looking like Igor. It was very embarrassing. And I did, and my soul sister came, she's my first friend in Jersey City, my soul sister. She literally came and grabbed me, because I go from home to the shop back to the house. I don't be hanging out.
Right.
And she went and grabbed me up and got me to the hospital. And it took me about, 3 months to be able to get a walk back the way I could. And the thing is that they'll hide it. It's called shielding. So if you go to somebody that's really good, they'll shield it to where you can't see who did it. So what happened to me, every time I tried to look, I couldn't see because of course I'm gifted. So it blocked it. But my grandma came through when I did a Akashic session because I wanted to know, like help me, like who did, if you wake up. And so my grandma came through and she said it. She showed me. She said, I told you about letting people put that, because I let the lady do me a ancestor wash.
Yeah, you can't let everybody touch you.
She touched my hand, and my granny said, I told you. She showed right up, and I was just like tears in my eyes and everything. And I'm watching it as the lady's talking. And she was like, I told you not to let nobody put their hands on you. She said, but don't you worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. And I said, show me what happened. And she showed the register. She showed the witch hat. She showed the place where I went and paid for the stuff to get done for her to do me a ancestor. Because I was trying to make my mama and her sisters get along. So I went and did an ancestral bath for me, and I had to call out all their last names. It worked for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I learned that at a very young age. You cannot let people touch you.
Oh no.
Because people do not have good intentions at all.
They do not.
And last but not least,
what
do you why are you laughing?
I don't know.
I'm not saying what.
I mean, yes.
What do you think is your purpose or your mission on Earth? Because you said that in many lives, you have died. So what is it that you think that you are here to do?
Exactly what you and I are both supposed to be doing. And that's raising the vibration of the planet, building the new world, new age, and living our life abundantly, financially free.
Yes, come on now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wake up every day and I'm like, I don't be like, man, I gotta go to the job. Right. And, when I started like opening the shop, I remember I had woke up and thought I was running late because I thought I was still back at the company. So I fell out the bed. I was like,
retail is different.
Yeah. I'm like, please. I was like, I'm about to be late. And I looked up. I was like, whatever. And I laid back down, and that was the biggest smile I had. And like, that's when you're free. I was panicking. I'm like, girl. And I laid back down. I was like, this is happy. This is happiness. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I mean, and you touch everybody. Even with you, when you look at somebody, you light their soul up. And the same with myself. So when you walk past somebody, even if y'all don't speak, and you look at them, you awaken them. Right. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's the real meaning of love and light. Because love is not conditional. It's unconditional. And when you start to go down this path, you'll notice that you have more love for the planet, for animals. Have you ever noticed now, like you'll see something on the street and they have to pop you to stop having you pick stuff up? Or the animals, now all of a sudden you want to sneak out some snacks to it because you don't want to see it starving. Your whole inside changes when you start to get on your mission and purpose. And we are going to change the world. And I think it's really amazing that now the government don't lie about the extraterrestrials anymore. Because I caught one in Brooklyn. I was so excited. I was like,
you caught what in Brooklyn?
I caught a spaceship. Yeah, it was spinning around. I was on a patio and I was like, Squishy, what you looking at? It was 3 a.m. I got it on my page, and I stood outside on the thing, and that little thing spent around. I was like, oh, it was beautiful. Yeah. It's on my Instagram page though. TikTok would have been like,
Girl, TikTok don't be with them games.
Yeah, real quick. But yeah, it's just like we all are one. And I honestly feel like there's more of that energy coming down. We're part of them. And I don't be afraid no more.
As you shouldn't. I think this was a very insightful conversation. I feel like a lot of people are going to definitely be intrigued and want to learn more. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm super excited. I'm definitely coming to your shop. Hopefully, it's going to be a day where you're there because obviously I'm coming to see you.
Yes.
And book some sessions with you. And you'll probably be the newest member of my spiritual team.
All right, that's what's up.
Yeah. And to the listeners, if you have any questions, comments, or you want to say, hey, girl, hey, please make sure to email me at hello@thephdpodcast.com. And until next time, everyone, later.
Thank you. Later.